Doenz is here from Austria his formal title is Varying International Approaches to Sustainable Practices in the Education of Mountain Guides, which I think is a terrific follow-on to some of the ethical and practical questions that Blaise was bringing up. And let me give you a little bit about Hanno's background. Just have to find the right page here. Because I don't have his background memorized.
It's not so important.
Well, I think it's important for everybody to know a little bit more about you. He's a former teacher and Austrian mountain guide, and for over 25 years, and has been a member of the boards of the Guides Association, and is 2 years as president of the IFMGA, which is the International Federation of Mountain Guides Association. His responsibility has been to organize and coordinate guide education worldwide. And I can speak from personal or experience, certainly with the guides that I know up in my neck of the woods in the Sierra Nevada, that getting IFMGA certification was a huge leap forward for American guides. And I want to thank the AMGA, the American Mountain Guides Association, for highly recommending Hanno to be on our program today. So, Hanno, it's yours.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here and for giving me the chance to give you just a short presentation about different approaches to sustainability in guides work and guides education worldwide. At first, I will apologize a little bit. Please, I'm not very good in English. It's 30 years ago, the last time I learned it at school, so sometimes I'm losing the words. At first, I will have just some words about who we are, the IFMGA, but there are also different other abbreviations, UIAGM or IVBV. This is the same in French, Italian, and in Spanish, and this is the one in German. And it means it's the International Federation of Mountain Guides Associations. So it's almost 50 years ago, it was founded by the mountain guides associations from the 5 countries, Switzerland, France, Italy, and Austria. I said 5, it's just 4, because Germany had been joining just 2 years later. So it had been then 5 countries. They set up a common platform for guides education in these different countries to have one minimum level what a guide has to learn in his education, a common platform with skills for certified guides, then a common code of professional conduct that would mean that guides ethics we had been speaking about before, and their main goal was trying to grant each other access to different mountain areas in these different countries to give the possibility for the guides to work in each other country without having problems changing the borders. Our working place is, I'm sure it's the nicest working place of the world. It's the mountains. It's rock climbing. A very important part is with children. It's ice climbing. It's high alpine mountaineering and climbing. It's free riding, powder snow skiing. It's ski touring. And it's trekking and expeditions worldwide. It started with these 4, then 5 countries. Now we have 23 full member countries worldwide and about 5 aspirant and interesting countries, starting first in the Alps, then having some more countries coming to us from different European, Alpine and not Alpine states. Then the first not European country had been Canada. and the first South American country had been Peru, and we have also members far, far away like Japan, New Zealand, and since 3 years, for example, Nepal. Our aim is, on one hand, guarantee highest quality level in education and certification of mountain guides, to force current professional development programs for the certified guides, to help interested countries to develop their autonomous programs in training and certifying guides, and then, when they reach this level, to give them the possibility to join our organization. Then also to assist National Guides Association in their legal standings in their own countries, helping there in getting the recognition by their governments, for example, trying to access to work in all mountain areas. We know here, for example, the national parks, and also trying to give reciprocity rights to mountain guides coming from different other IFMGA member countries. And very, very important thing for us is to assist all these associations in developing sustainable practice in guides education and also in the guides everyday work. And especially in the everyday work, a guide always will be in a little bit an attention field between really sustainable practice and some economic needs. Just one example here, a ski touring in a remote area. It's quite sustainable, I think, but on the other hand, heli skiing, yeah, it makes fun. It's a nice sport, but never call it sustainable, please. But on the other hand, it's a big part of the work of many mountain guides. So our goal will always be to find a compromise between these points and preserve our mountain areas for furthermore possibilities to work there. So sustainability for me has always two aspects. It's on one hand the environmental aspect. We heard much about it, but also, as we heard in some speeches before, these social aspects. And it's always a different thing in the education of guides, but also in the everyday work of guides. Just short about these so-called social aspects. It's the especially the training aid and developing aid in low-level countries. There are some current projects now, or there had been, for example, the project Nepal. Nepal is now full member, but it had been many years of work together with the local Nepalese Guiding Association to train these local guides to achieve this highest level, to help them also to get the recognition by their own government, and then bringing them to that level that now they have that autonomy in training and administration, and now they can certify IFMGA guides by themselves. They have now this training system there. And this is, of course, a chance for the Nepalese guide there when they reach that certified IFMGA level, that they have, of course, a better income possibility. They can get better insurances when there is something happening. Of course, it's always possible. Giving them more self-confidence in their work, in their cooperation with the companies they are working with, the possibilities to rescue, and so on. Our completely different example is Eastern Europe. Last week had been in Romania, just coming around and looking to different areas where's the possibility to make mountain guide education in this land. But it's will never be, for example, possible to have a Romanian Mountain Guides Association. It does exist, but to have a Romanian Mountain Guides Association making IFMGA certified guides education, because they don't have enough people to make this. And the same, for example, in Ukraine or in Bulgaria and Serbia and so on. So there we have the idea to bring them together, interested people from different countries, from different East European countries, to one education managed by the IFMGA, by the Technical Commission, with our own expert guides, education held up in English language, because they have so different languages, and when they want to reach international level for guiding, they need to speak English. And then perhaps it would be possible and also affordable for them to come to that IFMGA level. But not in single countries, but giving together the people coming from different countries. And it's a problem there. For example, the Romanians, they don't have the money and not enough interested mountaineers to build up their own education. Or 2 days ago I got a mail from aspirant guide coming from the Ukraine. He is now just in the halfway of his guides education. He made it in the Russian guide school, and now they have war. It will be not so far, in the next time will not be possible for him to finish his guides education in Russia because of these silly political things going up there. And so perhaps this could be some model for trying it out here in Eastern Europe, perhaps later also in some Asian states, in Asian countries who are not able to bring together enough aspirants to make their own guides education, but perhaps collecting together people from different countries and have one education there. Another example is South America. I'll speak about Peru. Peru has been the first South American country joining the IFMGA. It's now about 25 years ago, and long time it worked good, but the last years they had a generation problem. The old trainers didn't, first they didn't want to come in new ones to be in the training system, and now they had been told they didn't make it anymore, and they had not enough and not really qualified trainers for their own education. So we have now a 3 years program to bring Peru again to this level they had before. So last year there had been a 2 weeks course. This year there had been a 2 weeks course bringing expert guides from different countries, from France, from Spain, from Argentina, from Germany, to Peru, and train there the future guides trainers for their own training. So there are some different social and technical projects gaining sustainability in guides education. On the other hand, there is, of course, this environmental aspect of sustainability, and there is also completely different approaches wherever we are. For example, in the Alps, we have a very high regulation for guides training, for guides education, for current development programs of guides, for guides insurances. Everything there is regulated in national or regional laws for the training standard. There are also the national training systems with curricula for guides training, they are controlled by law. And also that current professional programs, and always part of of these guides trainings programs is also the environmental sustainability. In North America, for example, we have a completely different approach. There is no regulating about the guides training. You don't have to be a certified IFMGA guide to guide there. There are many different types of guides there, and there is no law about it. But on the other hand, you have a very highly and strict regulated system for getting access to the mountains. We have heard about this climbing management plans in the national parks. There's regulated how many people can go there, where can they go, where can they leave their human waste or not. And everything is very, very, very regulated there. So it's non-regulation in the education, but a high regulation in the daily work. So it's a completely different program. And here we are always looking for cooperation with the AMGA or the Canadian ACMG, and contact the National Park Services in USA and Canada to get also the possibility to work there. Of course, we have to follow the environmental rules, the rules for sustainability. And completely different again is it in some remote mountain areas, somewhere in South America, somewhere in Asia. It's not the same wherever, but there is a developing process going on there. So we try to help them in guides education, in developing common rules for guides work, in cooperation with local guides, with associations, the governments, national parks there, and bring them also to that standard of sustainable guiding. And part of overall of this has to be and should be that ethic code, that code of professional guiding, that is a free will rule we have for all guides, and they should obey it. You know, it's not everywhere easy. I have just some examples. Oops. Oh no, it's not the newest version I've seen. I have some example how it works. There had been also one about Austrian mountain guides law, where it is ruled who is allowed to name himself mountain guide, who can guide, what is the work of the volunteer instructors in Alpine clubs and so on. It's regulated by law and it's fine. There are fines for people who don't work like the law want. Or here I have an example. Now I'm here. It's the Code of Professional Conduct. Excuse me, I have been at the wrong place. Just some article. Environment. A guide encourages respect for the environment through advice and personal example. A guide's field of competence includes the core skills of all mountain disciplines in all seasons, in all environments worldwide, in food, ski, snowboard, the climbing of rock, snow, ice, indoors, and so on. So this is this code of professional conduct. Some of these articles who should be the overall rule all guides, all IFMGA guides have to obey. Also, for example, the guides ratios, how many clients we have to take, and so on. Yeah, starting in the Alps, I have here two different pictures from the same mountains. It looks like paradise, but this is the touristical map of the same mountain. You see there are many lifts and slopes and roads and parking spaces and so on and so on. And this is the main problem we have in many parts of the Alps. It's too much of touristic development. It's too much of touristic infrastructure, of hydroelectric plants, of roads, of everything in the valleys, in the mountains. There are not many valleys, not many areas in the Alps without having huts, trails, lifts, cable cars, and so on. On one hand, this is a problem. On the other hand, it's also not so bad because it channels the mass tourism. They go all, like we heard, they go all like sheep to the same place. So you don't have to walk much away from this. You go from this place to this place, and it looks again like paradise. The guiding is just a very small part of this tourism industry, and so we have no really political influence. As I said, this guiding is regulated by law in most Alpine countries. Only certified guides are allowed to guide. The education and certification of guides is ruled by governments and by special laws. And the base of this is the common platform of the IFMGA. Also, sustainable practices is forced by law, and it's part of curricula in guides education and in CPD, and it comes more and more. High standard is granted by the competent authorities and should also be by the guides of associations. And the guides have to obey these rules and accept, and they are accepted in all of these countries. So normally it's no problem to get these reciprocal rights to come from one land to the other, because every land knows the guide from the other land has the same high standard. Here, this is the thing I thought before, is part of an Austrian law, is a special mountain guides law. There is written who is a guide, what has a guide to do, what is his education, and so on. And there are fines for illegal guiding, and also fines for mountain guides not obeying the law, of course. But normally we don't need this. Or another example for laws regulating sustainable guiding, it's from France. Duties of a guide: he explores, respects, and preserves the mountainous terrain and follows the administrative and legal restrictions which concern the area, and not only in his country, wherever he goes. He attends actions which support the mountaineering activities, especially concerning the use of mountainous terrain. This happens in collaboration with the responsible offices, which are, for example, public authorities, partner institutions, recognized associations with a public use, and so on. And you see, I don't want to read everything of it. There are many rules, also by law, but a guide has to follow. Or, for example, about curricula in guides education, there are some examples from the Swiss curriculums about the contents in the subjects of concerning nature, environment, and sustainable practice. The duration of these modules, for example, 4 days of Alpine nature and environment, 1 day of having examination in these subjects, and so on. And this is also about quite similar in different countries there. And our options, when we follow these rules of guiding, especially in sensible regions like national parks, national conservation areas, then we have always the possibility to do this also in the next years and the next decades. Using our educational influence also with our clients is also very, very important. And of course, we have to make concessions like avoiding individual traffic going there with train or buses, do not enter restricted areas, and so on. Then we are always more starting to force special modules in education, and especially in the current professional development programs of guides, to raise the awareness that we have to conserve the mountain areas for future generations. And on the other hand, for gaining more political influence, we need cooperation with Alpine clubs, with NGOs, and so, because they are always developing more projects like more ski stations, more hydroelectric power plants, and so on, and we have to preserve our mountains. So we have to work against it. something completely different, as I said before. United States. Almost all interesting areas for guiding in the United States are somewhere in state parks and national parks and so on, and these are very restricted areas. On one hand, it's very good because the environment there, the wilderness, will be protected. On the other hand, it's not good for a guide when he can't enter these places because he wants to come with his guide and show him these very nice places also in the United States. And so we have that problem that these reciprocity rights we try to grant each other's can't work, for example, here in the United States, because even the AMGA guides are not allowed to guide in their national parks. So there's no regulation by law about education and certification of guides, but there are really that strict regulations. This is a good base for the conservation of the sensible nature, and this can be, I hope it will be in future, a very good base for cooperation with the national parks and the national and the international guides associations. That can be also a good chance for guides to prove that they are not really typical commercial users, because we are not part of this mass tourism industry. Guiding is something a little bit else. And yeah, I think we will hear much more about it from Scott Massey from the AMGA. He's coming next. It's very important for us, for the IFMGA, to cooperate with the national guides associations, to cooperate with the national parks, to find future possibilities. For example, one of these cooperation projects have been last year that IFMGA expedition workshop taking place in Denali, where expert guides trainers from various countries, from different European countries, of course, from the United States and Canada, but also South American, Japanese, Nepalese trainers came together to a workshop on Denali, and the product of this workshop had been a manual for CPD modules in the different nations to educate and train guides who want to go trekking education in different other areas. And yeah, the third part will be many different other countries that remote mountain areas, as a money rules. There are no, there are not really reliable structures or regulations that really work. There is, but relative low consciousness and awareness about environmental and sustainable practices. And there is a completely different approach for the mountain guides. On one hand, mountain guides living there, working there, local guides. On the other hand, international guides coming to these countries. So we have to try to consolidate existing structures. For example, this improving of the education in Peru. On the other hand, since last year, it's possible for IFMGA guides to guide in Huascaran National Park. So everybody tries to help each other, and we work good together. The setup of new structures. Nepal had been the newest IFMGA member country. The next will probably be Kyrgyzstan. We are working in Russia. We are working with different East European countries. We are working together with Ecuador. So in different countries and different continents, but not just going there and saying, okay, now we are the big bosses, you have to do what we want. We want to work together with the local guides associations to gain that level, to fix that structures and give them the autonomy to certify their own guides. And this, of course, will be a very great aim for the next years. And also IFMGA guides from all over the world going to these remote areas, yeah, they have a very, very big responsibility to show the ethics of guiding. Of course, not all of them will do. We also have some black sheep, but it's very important that certified guides show their professional work and be a really good model for other guides, for local guides, for other mountaineers and so, to show how professional work should be. Then also we have this new elaborated manual for expedition and trekking. So we should teach our own guides what they have to do when they come to other countries. There is now some special CPD lessons for guides who want to go for trekking and guide there. Then we, of course, have to help local guides organizations in developing sustainable structures for training of new guides and to administer the institutions of guides associations in these countries. And we have give them the aid for setting up their autonomous work and their structures for their work in the next years. So this is, for example, this manual. There is a big part of it, many pages about environmentally friendly trekking and traveling and expedition. So I'm thinking at last coming from very different mountain areas all over the world, all the IFMGA certified mountain guides and also their associations have to follow very different but very, they have to follow different approaches to reach environmental sustainability and social sustainability practices in their everyday work and also in their education of new guides. We have to show that our work is not just business, is not just selling the mountain. We have heard it several times today, and that should not be the work of the certified IFMGA guides. They should show we have quality tourism. We work sustainable. We work not just for making today good money, we work for having the mountains also a place for mountaineers and, of course, also guides working in the next generations there. And so we should not be part of mass tourism, we should always be something special. And that's my idea, what I always want to bring also to all of the guides when we have some meetings and so on. Yes, this has to be our goal for the next years, for the next generations. So thank you for giving me the chance to present this here. And yeah, thank you all together for working together all here and bringing it out, spreading it out to everybody else to preserve the beautiness of our mountains and the mountain ranges all over the world for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a couple questions if we've gotten out there. Hanno? Yeah.
I was curious to know, in terms of keeping, the mountains for future generations, is the IFMGA making any contingency plans on how climate change might affect your business in the future?
Yeah, it does not affect it only in the future. It does it affect very much in the present. Guiding is getting much more dangerous. Mountaineering at all, not only guiding, but it's our working place. We can see routes being normal routes. We heard about it years ago. Now they are really very dangerous. Yeah, it will be different in future, of course, and it will be more dangerous, and it will be, of course, not easier. But on the other hand, as I said before, a big part of it will be to work with the base of this code of professional conduct, and then we can also stand the problems of climate change. I hope. But it's getting much more dangerous. And we can see it wherever we go.
But building on his question, if it's getting more dangerous, are you changing the curriculum to do better decision-making on route finding, or aborting an expedition because the guide determines the conditions are too dangerous?
Yeah, we are changing the curriculums very much. I can remember the time when I had been in the guides training. It has been almost a training for being a good climber, a good skier, a good ice climber, and all these more technical skills had been in the foreground of the education. And now it had changed. It has changed in most of the countries. A big part of the curricula is that so-called soft skills, that guiding, that finding the right, I don't know, to say, okay, we take this route or not, we stop, we turn back, we can't go more. So it's, now we say always, it's not the good guide who is the fastest on the summit, who reaches every summit. The good guide is who brings his guest back home. And often the good guide can be the guide who turns back, who doesn't go up to the summit and says, okay, it's a little bit dangerous, but we will make it. So, but in this part, we are working in all of our member countries very hard to change the curriculums to force these soft skills.